Hey everybody, I'm the Ranting Monkey, and today we're going to listen to somebody say absolutely nothing for 7 goddamn minutes.
Good afternoon.
TedX talks are kind of a mixed bag. Sometimes there's really good discussions about science or technology or even the humanities. And then sometimes they have people up there who just spout absolute bullshit. And then sometimes you get gems like Melissa here.
The concept of women's rights is not new. But for me, it was not until last year that I began to realize how disparity between the sexes in our culture negatively impacted my quality of life.
I couldn't find Melissa's exact age online. I did find that she was in the Army from 2002 until 2006. Even if she went in as early as she could at 18, she would have come out at 22, and that was 11 years ago. She is at least 33 years old. The disparity between the sexes is so bad it actually affects the quality of her life, but it took her at least 32 years to notice that. I have a feeling we might need ducks on this one.
I realized that I could not recall a time when I had felt as though I'd lived without an understanding that I could be the subject of oppressive behavior because of my gender.
Okay, we're going to listen to that one more time. Listen to what she actually fucking says here.
I realized that I could not recall a time when I had felt as though I'd lived without an understanding that I could be the subject of oppressive behavior because of my gender.
I couldn't remember a time when I didn't have the realization that I could be oppressed because of my gender. Not, I have been oppressed because of my gender, but I had the understanding that I could be oppressed because of it.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender.
What the fuck are you talking about? That has no meaning at all. And not only is it something she does throughout this talk, just throw out meaningless bullshit, it's a trend that I've noticed in social justice lately. Rather than give concrete examples of things that have happened, social justice warriors are now just throwing out could'ves. Meaningless word salad, hoping that it sounds like it makes sense.
And honestly, the realization was shocking to me.
You were shocked to learn things that didn't affect you could have. That's fucking stupid.
I had considered myself to be a strong and independent woman from a long line of strong, independent women. My great-grandmother was a suffragette. My grandparents divorced in the late 50s, and my grandmother went on to become an accomplished marketer. I was raised by a single mother. I myself am a veteran. How could I have not had a voice when it mattered? And how could I now honor what had been done before me to allow me to live as freely as I do as a woman today?
Of all of the feminist talking points, this is among the dumbest. The idea that you have to be a feminist to honor these women who came before you. You know how I honor the guys who fought in the American Revolution? I don't bow to the Queen. I don't take up arms against British people. We won the battle. I don't have to fight it anymore. I just get to live with the consequences of it. I'm not a British citizen because those men fought. You were allowed to serve in the military because of the women who came before you. That's how you honor them, by enjoying the rights you were granted, not by bitching about oppression you could have felt but didn't.
As I sorted through my life experiences, I had two realizations. I consistently had not had a voice against these oppressive behaviors when I should have. So I should find my voice to begin creating change in my life and the lives around me.
For the record, I haven't skipped anything here. These oppressive behaviors she just mentioned? No, she has not brought them up yet. She has not given a specific example of the oppression she might have felt. All she's told us is that she could have been oppressed, but wasn't. And now she needs to create change. Because reasons.
And to have equal rights, both women and men need to be treated with the same deference. Both sexes have their strengths and vulnerabilities physically, but we are as a whole intellectually and emotionally equals and should be treated as such. Women should not be ignored or dismissed. We should not have to stay quiet so as to not make waves.
Who the fuck says you have to be? Please, give an example of where somebody has said, you, woman, you cannot talk. You cannot speak because it's going to make waves. This is completely fucking meaningless without examples of where it's happening. This is just throwing inflammatory shit out there and hoping somebody goes, oh yeah, women shouldn't have to be silenced. Who the fuck is saying they should be?
Women's ability to reproduce leaves us vulnerable in countless ways through our ability to have children, through sexual advances, pregnancy, childbirth, and the responsibility of parenting.
What in the bloody fuck are you talking about? Our ability to reproduce leaves us vulnerable because we have children, we get pregnant, and sometimes guys hit on us. What the fuck are you talking about, woman? I don't think you should stay silent because you might make waves. I think you should stay silent because you say a lot of really stupid fucking things. How are you vulnerable because of sexual advances? Some guy comes up to you and says, hey, wanna fuck? What mortal danger does that put you in? You're not speaking off the cuff here. You wrote this shit down. This is a speech you were giving. You thought about this, and that made sense to you. What the fuck?
But women are humans, not objects. Although I had found my own voice and defined what equal rights meant to me, I quickly identified challenges to creating meaningful change in the area of women's rights. The concept of women's rights encompasses a diverse spectrum of issues with mostly polarized perspectives. I have shared what women's rights means to me, but definitions of women's rights are as diverse as we are individuals.
I'm tempted to play that for you again because it is such a beautiful example of what I'm talking about here. It's as though she took all of these feminist talking points, threw them into a blender, and poured out a bullshit smoothie.
However, our personal definitions are not the only hurdle. As I dove deeper into the issue, it became apparent that how an individual defines rights is critical to their perspective.
Which is exactly why it's important that we all use the same fucking definitions for words instead of making them up for ourselves. When you start making up your own goddamn definitions for words, it makes it really hard to communicate with people.
To date, my favorite definition of rights is found on Wikipedia, citing Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy.
Yeah, why would you go to a fucking dictionary for the definition of a word when you can go to Wikipedia and get the philosophical definition? Goddamn, you make my head hurt.
Rights are legal, social, or ethical principles of freedom or entitlement.
Yeah, that's a really stupid fucking definition. By that standard, a right is a social principle of entitlement. You can hold whatever entitled principle you want, it doesn't make it a right.
That is, rights are the fundamental normative rules about what is allowed of people or owed to people, according to some legal system, social convention, or ethical theory. Legal, social, and ethical rights? That is a lot. It is no wonder issues of rights are so challenging to reconcile.
It's only challenging because feminists keep moving the goddamn goalpost. Your grandmother fought for a legal right, the right to vote. You're here arguing about social rights. What the fuck is a social right? Your friends letting you do something? That's not an issue for society. That's an issue for you and your fucking friends. All right, guys, we're going to skip to the end. If you want to watch the whole thing, it is linked below, but I want you to see the end of this.
How does disparity between the sexes impact your quality of life? Can you create meaningful change for the rights of women through dialogue? As you leave here today, consider your experiences.
Do you remember what she said at the beginning? It was just last year that she realized her quality of life had even been affected. And she doesn't give us a single fucking example of how. You can go back and watch the parts that I didn't play. Not a single fucking example. She doesn't tell us how this impacted her at all. We're just supposed to take her word for it. And you're supposed to go home and think about how you've been oppressed. You know, if you have a vagina.
How can you stimulate dialogue and therefore promote meaningful change for the rights of women with your voice?
Well, if it were me and I was looking to stimulate conversation, I would start by saying something meaningful. I wouldn't just throw out buzzwords and make assertions I didn't back up. Hell, you didn't even provide any empirical evidence here. You started by telling us that just last year, after at least 3 decades, you finally noticed that you'd been oppressed. You followed that up immediately by telling us you realized you could have been oppressed. From there, seemingly for no reason at all, you tell us women are vulnerable because they have babies. The closest you come to any kind of supporting information for the garbage you've said is a Wikipedia definition of what a right is. A definition so broad it covers anything anyone believes. You spent 7 goddamn minutes talking and you said nothing of value. Nothing of substance. You could have saved everyone the time and simply said, I think women need more rights, and left the fucking stage. Guys, you really need to watch for this shit. It's happening more and more. Under the guise of some deep intellectual thought, regressives are just vomiting up words and hoping they form a coherent argument. And if you don't pay attention to what's really being said, it doesn't sound half bad. This chick didn't play the wage gap card or whine about manspreading. She gave a speech that didn't sound all that objectionable. You only realize she didn't say anything radical when you realize it's because she didn't say anything. At least with the wage gap, you can argue about what the stats actually mean. The only real argument against this kind of shit is to point out that it's fucking meaningless drivel. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up this one. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and share it with all your friends. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'm the Ranting Monkey, and I'll see you next time.
I realized that I could not recall a time when I had felt as though I'd lived without an understanding that I could be the subject of oppressive behavior because of my gender.
Your life makes me sad.
Fuzzy Monkey's awesome!